I'm back, guys. I know y'all missed me. Stay tuned because we're doing another blast from the past. What's up, guys? It's your girl Jasmine, and I'm back with another video in full effect, honey. Today, I had an epiphany just like 12 years ago when I was in Mercy College. So I figured we would talk about how love can be an addiction. A lot of people don't realize that because that's the reason why you do silly things when you're in love. Hello, people. Duh. Before we get into all of that, if you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I'm going to go ahead and get started because I know this is a very relatable topic for a lot of people, including myself. So if you're following my IG page, you would know, because I did this article or something similar to it. But you would know, I did go to Mercy College straight out of high school, and I studied psychology. Unfortunately, I did not graduate. I ended up finding out I was pregnant with my daughter, and I fell asleep in like every class. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. That's just my backstory. So, anyway, the English teacher ended up asking all of her students that were in the class to write an essay. It was a freestyle essay. I think she wanted to kind of just see like where everybody was as far as like their writing skills and things like that. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I love to write. That is like one of my God-given gifts. I write novels. They're a little sexually explicit, but shh, don't tell my dad. I write novels. I used to love to, even before like I got into the sexually explicit stuff, I used to write regular novels and things like that. Mostly love stories because, you know. Yeah, I wrote an essay about addiction, and it was 3 types of addiction. I think the first one was like drugs, like chocolate or something like that, and then love was the 3rd topic. So, needless to say, because I love to write, my essay ended up getting an A+. And she ended up reading it out loud as an example to the class. I was so proud of myself. Oh my God. Anyways, enough of that. But she ended up reading it out loud to the class, and I did really well. I had to pat myself on the back. So basically, I got the concept of love being an addiction from a movie that I was watching. It was a Madea movie. I don't remember which one it was. I believe it might have been Diary of a Mad Black Woman, because at that time, that was like one of my faves. And I remember Madea telling one of the characters, like, love is stronger than any addiction. It is one. And I pondered on that for a second, because I was like, that might be the reason for a lot of dumb behavior by either the male or the female in the relationship or in love, even if it's not in a relationship. So, guys, of course, I have to give you addiction by definition. So addiction by definition means the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. Y'all know I had to do my research for this one. It is actually a scientific fact that falling in love has the same effects on a person as them taking cocaine. When we talk about love as an addiction, let's first talk about the rush. So similar to a drug that's considered an upper, such as like cocaine or ecstasy or some kind of drug that's gonna get you high, as opposed to a drug that gets you high but also mellows your mood, like weed. When you see your person of choice, you get that nostalgic feeling. It's the best feeling in the world when you're around that person. It's just like you're on cloud 10 and you're just high off life and happy, and it's just that vibe that you get that you feel like it's gonna last forever and nothing can ever go wrong. And that's an awesome, amazing feeling. However, it could also have its downsides, just like, drugs can. So similar to someone who is on cocaine or on drugs in general, when they need a fix, they're going through all types of, I don't want to say hormones, but they're going through all kinds of withdrawals and, hot flashes and nervousness and sweats and this, that, and the third. So when you don't see your person of choice, now you're upset, you miss them, you're cry. Sometimes people get emotional and they cry, and this is all normal, right? These are our emotions. You can't help it. But you guys see the similarities here? It's very similar to being a drug addict, being in love. You can be a love addict. And your body is going through withdrawals when you're missing your partner and when you're not around them. If you don't have your partner, if you're like head over heels in love with that person, you can become depressed. You can be sad. So those are some of the downsides when it comes to being in love and having that addicted feeling. But also, just like cocaine, love can cause you to do irrational things, and it can be dangerous. A lot of the time, unfortunately, it could have a negative effect on a person to where being in love turns into obsession or abuse. Obsession, by definition, an idea or thought that continuously preoccupies or intrudes on a person's mind. So let's face it, when you're obsessed with someone, you live, breathe, eat, sleep them. That person basically consumes your whole being. So it takes over you and the love that you have for yourself. It's pretty much just like you love that person more than you love yourself. And I am sorry, the only person that you should ever love more than you love yourself is your child. I'm sorry. That's just facts. Take it from someone who's been in love a couple times. Trust me. I know that it's hard sometimes to really actually take that whole concept in. But you cannot let someone consume you as a person. It's not okay. It's not. Obsession also, most of the time, creates the mindset of, if I can't have you, nobody can. And that's when it can turn deadly. Some people are crazy enough to kill someone else over the person that they love. And it's not just because they love them, it's because they became obsessed with them. So yeah, it's kind of just like, when you're like addicted at that moment, it's kind of like that's the bad part about you getting your next high or you getting your high. This is your person of choice is your drug. Now you see somebody else, once you're addicted or obsessed with that person, you see somebody else getting their attention. Even after, let's say after you guys broke up, you see somebody else getting their attention because you're obsessed with that person. You're not having that. So now you're going to either kill them or kill the other person or kill both of them. And a lot of times when you see these murder stories, murder documentaries, men that killed their wives for cheating, women that killed their husbands for cheating, a lot of the times it is jealousy that has something to do with it, but it's obsession as well. That obsession then took over your brain at that point. And now it turned deadly. And you snapped. And now you're going to jail. Why? Because you were in love? I can recall when I was with Kendall, my 7-year ex, and then I started dealing with Paul. You guys know the story. Well, you know the gist of the story, but this is another part of the story. So, pretty much, Kendall and I were still living together. He was coming home to me still, and I was finding time wherever I could to see Paul. Even though Kendall and I, technically we were not together. We were broken up verbally, but by actions we were still together because he was still coming home to me. So, but I kept it real with him 100%. I told him every time I would see Paul, you know, especially if it was on a weekend or if I was going to a hotel with him or something like that, I always kept it real and told him what I was doing. So this particular time, we were going to my friend's graduation dinner at Don Coqui in Queens. So I can remember I was 26 when all of this was going on. So 4 years ago, almost 5. I was getting ready. It was a Saturday. I was getting ready, and then I hopped in my car and I went to my dad's house to have Paul pick me up there because he was driving. And so when I got, there's like a Jiffy Lube by my house. When I got to the stoplight over by the Jiffy Lube, I swore that I saw Kendall's car coming through the lot from the Jiffy Lube as I was making a right turn to go to my dad's house. Now, mind you, I just left him at the house. So for him, he must have been like right on my tail for me to see his car there. But anyway, I waved it off because at the time he had a Honda Accord, and it's like, what are the odds? So I get to my dad's house. I'm standing in the doorway, just, you know, waiting for Paul to come. And I see Kendall drive through the block. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Anyway, then Paul ends up picking me up and we end up getting on the highway. Guys, I looked in the rearview mirror and Kendall was following us. So I didn't tell Paul what was going on. I started texting Kendall, like, stop following me. You're crazy. You need to get the rest of your stuff out of my house and leave me the F alone because you are crazy and psycho and you have issues. I didn't say that exactly, but I kind of, you know, dumbed it down because I don't want to be cursing all up on him. So he was like, oh, copy. See the crazy things I do for love and blah, blah, blah. All of this other nonsense. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. So we end up getting to Queens, and I think that the whole madness, you know, of him following us is over. He parked the car. I got out, or I was getting ready to get out. I see Kendall walking down the block. I stopped nearly dead in my tracks, and I'm just in here and I'm looking like. So I got out the car. I pretty much didn't pay him any attention, and we just proceeded to kind of cross the street. Thank God it did not end up being a situation. Thank goodness, because that could have just been unnecessary for no reason. But Paul didn't know anything about what was going on. He was completely oblivious to the fact. And like I said, thank God that it didn't end up being a situation. Thank God that Kendall did not end up making a scene, because that would have just been extra. Needless to say, Kendall was obsessive to the point where he ended up taking down his license plate number, Googling his name, getting his address. He just had like so much information on Paul for no reason. And I'm not saying at that point that he was obsessed with me, but because he was so in love with me. And he always used to tell me that I never been in love with anybody like this. Like, I never loved no girl the way I love you. And he was so in love with me and so obsessive at that point that now look, you're doing things that you would not normally do. You over here following me all the way to Queens, from Mount Vernon all the way to Queens. Anybody who lives in New York knows that's a distance. That's at least 45 minutes. You're following me all the way from Mount Vernon to Queens. You're taking down this man's address. You have his license plate number. When we would be arguing about stuff and, when he was trying to get a better understanding about the situation, you're threatening to kill him. Obsession can be very dangerous, people. Being in love is a wonderful thing. However, don't let it consume you to where it turns into obsession or obsessive behavior. Please. So yes, guys, love can definitely be an addiction. And not just that. Some people could be addicted to love, just also in a sense that they need to be in love. So if it's not one person, let's just say like the whole time pretty much we were talking about being addicted to one person. Sometimes people are addicted to love in a sense that they have to stay in a steady, in a relationship, similar to my article about void filling. You have to be in a relationship or you have to be in love with somebody because you need that. Like, you thrive off of that. It could definitely be an addiction, whether it's harmful or harmless. The best advice I can offer in this situation, if anybody feels like they are experiencing this, just be careful. Definitely be careful. Because being in love could be a beautiful thing. Absolutely. But it can also be detrimental. You just want to be careful because you don't want to be out here harassing people because you're in love with this person. So now, because they are involved with someone else, now you find yourself harassing them. Love can make you do crazy things like that. I understand. However, don't let yourself slip like that to the point where you start losing yourself because you're in love with someone else. And that's all I have, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a like, comment, share. If you're not following me on IG, you can hit me up at love_N_lust_and until next time, bye guys.